You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Hello and welcome to the Ticket Stub, your favorite place for movie news and reviews. Ticket Stub drops every Thursday on all podcast platforms and Thursday at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 from beautiful Conroe, Texas. We got a live show today. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook. The Ticket Stub has a ticket sponsorship with the Grand Theater and Amstar Cinema. Visit irlonestar.com for information about the show and sponsorships, or give us a call at 936-647-3776. Also, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. My name is Connor, back in studio, one of the hosts of the show, joined in studio, as always, by Dick Schisler. How you doing, sir?
Word.
And Chris, hate to say it, but his head got stuck in between the recliner of one of those chairs.
He was ashamed of what he looked like.
It's awkward because we've been joking about it so much, and then he went and did it. So, anyways, I don't know where Chris is. He had to work today, I think. And how come we don't make fun of him for being like a gimp or whatever whenever he's out of...
Gimp? Why we don't make... We think you're a gimp?
You said, and I quote, I was watching Pulp Fiction the other day.
And it made me think of you because the gimp wore leather.
Oh, is that all it was?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, we are a movie show based out of Conroe, Texas, and we've got a good show for you today. We're going to talk about movie news, things that are going on in the world of movies. Then we're going to rewind. It's where we talk about the movies that we've seen over the last week. And later on in the show, we're going to do a top 3 of our all-time quotes, best quotes from movies that we like. Doesn't have to be the best, like Rosebud is like the number 1 quote or whatever, but I don't like that movie, so that's not one of my top 3. So top 3 quotes that we care about, that we like, or that mean. What I picked was ones that were meaningful, or that like had a recurring role, like that I said all the time growing up, or that like or that were just for whatever reason had like some sort of staying power in my life. Not just like here's looking at you, kid. I never quoted that one single time as a kid. So it was more ones that were meaningful to me. And so that's what we'll do. But Dick, how are things going here at the station, man?
Going good, man. We're still expanding. It's working on
We have a TV
stuff.
now.
Yeah.
If I do this, I can see this big TV hanging up on the wall. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, so when we show trailers and stuff in the studio, y'all be able to actually see it.
Will the news articles be able to go up there when
Yeah,
we do that in just a minute? Oh, well, that'll be nice.
I'm on it right now. I'm doing so much. What do you do?
Nothing, man. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just being lazy. I got a haircut today, so that's kind of nice. How do I look?
I didn't really notice. I thought you just gelled it up.
Oh, I did also gel it. Well, the lady gelled it up.
Okay. I'm surprised you don't put the cigarette in your sleeve and roll it up.
Yeah,
and
I'm a
be
greaser
like,
now.
What's
Yeah,
up?
yeah. I'm going for that '50s vibe. Is really my look. Well, cool. Chris, we miss you. Hope to have you back next week.
Do we?
Well, not really, but we're supposed
I
to
miss
say
him.
that. We're
I miss
contractually obligated.
Here,
to
I'll put his camera.
Yeah,
view up.
will you just put like the ghost cam here?
He's just not there. Sorry, bud.
His aura. This is where he used to sit. This is where he wants his impressions right there. Anyway, so we're gonna hop right in. Let's get going on some movie news. I say that just as you lean over. I apologize. Movie news. So we've got 3 different things we're gonna talk about. The first. I'm excited to see it. Okay, that's not a crime scene today.
I'm working on it right now.
My bad,
Relax,
dude. My bad.
Dude.
Independent.com had an article about Sarah Silverman. Are you familiar with Sarah Silverman, Dick?
Yeah.
She's a comedian, kind of a sarcastic, female comedian. And so apparently she was set, and there was a lot of mystery around this article. She wasn't willing to disclose too much of what happened, but she went on the Bill Simmons podcast, which is a popular sports podcast that this article was quoting, and she was talking about.
Because she knows so much about sports.
I don't know why she went on that podcast. Probably not because of sports, but he does pop culture stuff too, I guess. But she was talking about kind of outrage culture and cancel culture and how everybody's going back in time and finding your tweets and then whatever. Well, she had a sketch comedy show years ago, and apparently one of the sketches she did blackface, but it was like supposed to be, I think, to show how like you shouldn't do blackface. I mean, that's the irony of all this stuff. Like she wasn't doing blackface to make fun of black people. I mean, there was supposed to be some humor in it, but she was supposed to star in this movie, and they wouldn't name what the movie was, but people brought up the blackface from the past, and anyways, they got her kicked off the set of the movie that she was supposed to be a part of. Yeah, it's this is kind of a the article here. It's got like a lot
I
of other
like
stuff
the
going on.
ad they have for their own stuff. Top 10 black comedy.
Yeah, it's trying
Films
to
of all
like kind of
time.
bridge that search engine optimization
That's
is kind
appropriate.
of catching that word black. But
And then we have this nice black lady right here at Walden.
yeah, Independence like we're going to do
University.
our best to really make up for it here. I don't think that there is a picture. Oh my gosh!
There we go. There's some
Oh
lipstick.
my god!
What website are we going to here? There's this.
Oh, okay. Well, nobody cares about all this kind of stuff. If you're not watching the show, you're missing.
Facebook.
Yeah, if you're not watching us on
.com/The Ticket Stub
Facebook Live
Podcast.
or YouTube Live, or just go back and watch it, not even live, you're missing out on some gold here. But Dick, will you just Google like Sarah Silverman blackface? Are you willing to do that
Yeah,
on your
let
computer
me,
here? I don't want the search history to come back to bite you or anything like that. But so my question is, the irony, or I guess it's not a question. The irony is that Sarah Silverman, I'm pretty sure is very, very socially liberal and very like forward thinking, very progressive, very outspoken about like some of the Republican people, like especially Trump. And yeah, that's rough. Yeah, that is pretty rough. But she got caught for this, and they flagged her. So
That's as big as I could get it.
yeah, well,
for the
that's
viewers.
probably big enough. That's probably all that we need to see. What do you think about that when these people who are super progressive and super open-minded, but then something, especially when they're comedians, something comes up, it's almost like it's like the woke people are like eating themselves, like the snake is eating its own tail here.
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the culture, and people love seeing people burn.
Yeah.
They love it. So I know in this particular situation, she as an actress and as a person who's in the productions and stuff, she's been outspoken about these kind of accusations in the sense of she was the one accusing people like they should lose their jobs and things like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I think she even got in trouble where she did some piece about gender gap pay, and then she was completely wrong on it, and people were like reproving her wrong on her statements, and then she basically after years, when she's like, "Oh, sorry about that."
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's great because people can decide what they want to do, who they want to work with, and things. And like to me, when I heard this came out, the people have been saying this about her for several years. When the cancel culture was becoming a big deal, and they're like, "Oh, why is anyone getting mad at her?" And what was the other guy? Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Because he did a Karl Malone sketch. And you don't know who the
Full black
if you don't know
body.
who the mailman is, but
Which is a hilarious sketch, by the way.
yeah, well, that's what. Yeah, and like that's Karl Malone, and it just kind of depends on who's writing the checks, and
Yeah.
who wants to deal with it. Because
Well, because when it comes out, it's really funny. Like, or it's interesting.
Yeah.
When this stuff comes forward, she said, and here's an ironic quote from her in the article. It says, "It's like if you're not on board, if you say the wrong thing, if you had a tweet once, everyone is like throwing the first stone. It's so odd.
But it's also-
it's a perversion.
you're
Look how righteous I am, and now I'm going to press refresh and see how many likes I can get on my righteousness."
oh yeah,
But I feel like she's been a part of that in some ways.
definitely has been a part of it, and also you have to understand this is just one production.
Yeah.
This isn't like a blacklist they had back in the communist days.
No, yeah, totally.
So
true.
it's like, oh, this one director goes, you know what? It's just not worth the trouble with her. So just she's not in anymore. But then another director can come along and be like, yeah, we want her to be in it,
yeah.
and they don't care about that kind of stuff.
And I wonder, in some respects,
I mean, Roman Polanski's still making movies. People.
yeah, that is so true. That is so true. But yeah, and he's certified.
And hilarious. What's even funnier is he's getting money from his past movies still.
Yeah, because
those
I can't get out of that stuff.
Those
I guess.
residuals are there. I mean, Harvey Weinstein's still getting paid. Like he's still getting money from the movies he's made in the past, and
It's hard to spend that money where he is, probably.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's still there's the industry we're talking about, and they're still getting paid.
Yeah.
So it's not saying we needed them to stop getting paid and they don't need to work here anymore. But there's no way you're going to completely control it unless they go to jail and then they owe money, and then that's when the money starts going to the people they owe money to.
Well, I hope that we can start to have a little bit of context where we say things like, okay, that was 15 years ago or whatever. Things have changed. The social climate has changed since then.
Well, my
Let's
favorite-
not judge people with 2019, juries for things.
Well, my favorite thing is especially the movie industry. You think about when Steve McQueen and he just kept hitting that same. I forgot what the actress was. There's a famous production note saying she actually hit her.
Oh, really?
To bring out the realism, and she wasn't expecting it. And I'm like, man, if that happened today, people would flip. But
Chris
then-
would be so mad. That's why he hates Quentin Tarantino, right?
Yeah, spitting in her
Spitting in her
face.
face, man. Make her drive
But,
that car.
I mean, you're talking about artists here. They choose to always go to the other side.
yeah.
It's that's what they're known for. To kind of let's create art. And what's that art include? Oh, naked babies. And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. And
Dick loves naked baby art.
well,
That's
you
like
know, I'm just
his
saying,
house is covered wall to wall.
Artists can be, risque, and they can they're always pushing the buttons. And it's always funny to hear like this situation. Like, what do you expect somebody firing you from doing something in the past? Like that's been going along for a long time. But it's just kind of like, don't work with that person. You can work with somebody else.
See, but I feel like if her politics were different, the way that this has been received would be totally, it's like, shut her down, can't, and here it's a little bit more sympathetic, it feels like, in some ways. But it's also ironic when the people who, on some levels, are maybe a part of the culture, then it turns on them, and then they're going like, well, this isn't fair.
And it did. Like, this would happen. It prevented her from getting a role. But I'm pretty sure there's other things.
She'll be fine.
Yeah, like this isn't something that like name an actor.
Well, even Spacey's coming back, isn't he?
Probably.
Like, I think people are starting to talk about putting Spacey back in roles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Probably.
And he's like a certified creepo.
I mean,
but he makes good movies, though, man. That's 7. He's he sure is.
That was like 1998.
That's a good movie. That's a really good movie. That's like, I don't know. I think he's so good in that.
What I love is just people. I mean, you can get outraged.
All of his boyfriends.
What was great when his boyfriend, when all that stuff came out, Kevin Spacey, they released that movie, The Billionaire Boys, or something like that. I'm like, man, that's just bad timing.
Did they even release that one?
They had to.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they made it. They were like, yeah, all right. What else are we gonna do with this?
Well, that's a great segue to our next article. Time.com dropped an article talking about it's everything you need to know about the canceled movie The Hunt. So this assumes that you listening, and maybe you don't even know this, there was a movie called The Hunt that was set to come out sometime this year, and it has now been canceled, at least temporarily. Did you hear about this movie?
Yeah.
And so what the plot was,
I think the president of the United States talked about it.
Yeah, he tweeted about it. Yeah, thanks, Trump. We need that. I saw the trailers for this and thought, well, that looks kind of interesting. I don't know. And then I hadn't heard anything about it until like a few days ago when all this news started dropping. But what it was, I guess I didn't even fully realize the plot because the trailer was made a little bit deceptively. I guess that it was people who got put out there to basically be hunted by other people. And in the trailer, you see them all.
Most dangerous game?
Yeah, you see them all kind of waking up and they're running around, and then all of a sudden they start getting like mowed down by people and stuff. And you don't know if it's like a rich person crazy thing or whatever. Well, turns out that there's some sort of political slant here where the people being hunted, they keep calling them deplorables, which seems like it's an homage to the Hillary Clinton thing, and then Republicans started claiming the term deplorable. And so basically where this comes out is the way this movie is perceived is that it's a bunch of liberals murdering a bunch of conservatives, I guess because of their views or just because they can or to make life better. And, there's some quotes in there that might be a little bit disconcerting from the movie, I guess, where it says things like, oh, man, this last week has been terrible, but at least we have The Hunt later on. Things like it was their only relief from everything bad going on. I don't know. What do you think about this movie getting canceled, Dick?
Well, watching the trailer, I didn't get anything about what...
That's what I'm saying. The trailer, I think, I don't know if it's purposely deceptive, but it definitely doesn't make you think it's about like politics in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and then, getting canceled. The history of releasing movies? There's always going to be an outside controlling or outside factor when it comes to big events. Like remember when 9/11 happened? They had all the movies that were released in that like a week of 9/11, and then like 6 weeks after 9/11. How much of a big hit they took.
Yeah.
And then not even some of the topic matters were really off-putting.
Yeah.
And you can look it up and say what movies were released during 9/11. And some of them were violent movies. And they're like, oh, we probably shouldn't be making movies like this for a while because of what's going on in the culture. And this thing, it's the same thing with this thing. They're like,
I should add that the mass shootings have really added fuel to the fire.
Oh,
here.
that's the only reason this came up.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. And... unfortunately for the filmmakers, and when they do this kind of stuff, that's what happens sometimes.
Well, and you're 2 years out. It's not like they made this movie after El Paso. This movie was, production probably started 2 years ago, and it's just that it's bad timing. Trump said liberal Hollywood is racist at the highest level. Trump is the man. He's the worst and the best. And with great anger and hate, they like to call themselves elite, but they are not elite. Sick burn, Trump. In fact, it is often the people that they so strongly oppose that are actually the elite. This movie coming out is made in order to inflame and cause chaos, which is so ironic for him to say. They create their own violence and then try to blame it on others. They are the true racists and are very bad for our country. Thank you for that, President.
Well, that's
how's that trade war with China
what's
going?
Funny, what's funny with the Hunt, and if I was the owner of distribution, I'd be like, oh man, just release it on video on demand, and people would be like, let's see what this movie's all about. Because how many people are really going to go to the theater to watch this movie before this all happened?
I feel like it was not going to be a huge hit.
Well, I mean, it's just it's part of the weekend releases that are not Disney.
But this movie's coming out for sure at some point.
Yeah,
right?
they've already made it. It's already it had some big name actors and actresses in it.
I mean,
And-
some streaming service is going to buy it.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, The Interview didn't come out because they thought that Kim Jong-il was going to like bomb everybody.
Yeah.
And then Netflix is like, hey, we'll take it. And it was a huge hit there. So I'm sure this is going to come out. What's funny to me, I guess it's just how my mind works. Even if it's liberals hunting conservatives, that doesn't make me think like El Paso, like that doesn't, I don't draw that direct connection there, I mean, I understand like the tragedies that happened are tragic no matter what movies are coming out or anything else like that. But then just because there's a movie about violence, even if it's got politics rolled into it, there's always movies about, and so I guess for me, I don't put two and two together on that. But I just think it's interesting how, everything, Sarah Silverman's being canceled. On the other side of the aisle, they're canceling entire movies about other swaths of people. There's just a lot of, everybody's trying to throw their weight around to basically, I guess, prove points or get their way or manipulate. I don't know 100% what the end game is
It's
for
all
all this
about
stuff.
what money is going to come in. And they realize we shouldn't release this movie for a while.
Yeah. All right. Well, the third article, theatlantic.com, had an article which actually inspired our top three we're going to do later on. What is the greatest movie quote of all time? And so it's basically it's each author or each contributor put a quote, and then they wrote a little blurb. We don't need to read the blurbs, but just kind of scroll quickly. Toto, I feel like we're not in Kansas anymore. Africa is far. I guess I don't know that movie. Belly, I don't know. Do you know that movie? Africa is far. I guess that's a good one. As If from Clueless, one of the contributors thought that is the greatest movie line of all time. Here's Looking at You, Kid, the classic. Casablanca. Gentlemen, You Can't Fight in Here. It's The War Room from Dr. Strangelove. And then there's You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat from Jaws. That's an all-time favorite. Rocky Balboa, the long one about how hard you get hit but keep getting up. And anyways, Make You Feel Like Nothing so as to not feel anything. What a Waste. Which is from Call Me by Your Name. And then Shawshank. There's a couple of, The Godfather. I'm gonna make an offer he can't refuse. What do you think about this list, Dick? Without maybe giving away some of the quotes we're going to talk about later on, do you feel like these are good quotes? Do you feel like
I mean, they ingrained itself in a generation.
Yeah.
The one I was surprised about all of them is like the Rocky Balboa, because that's like the fifth movie.
Yeah.
So you didn't think Adrian would be
Yeah, yo, Adrian.
like that wouldn't be the first one. But
I think the thing about that quote, and this is just totally my opinion, I don't know who that person is who put it on there. But let's see, Tom Quigley. Okay, I got no idea who Tom Quigley is, but I think that quote got like a second life on social media or something, where like people would post that as like an inspirational Instagram or something like that. And I think that's why like that movie was not like,
I thought the movie was good.
but it was not super popular.
When Rocky won,
It wasn't. Yeah, I mean that movie was looked at as like the worst of the Rocky movies, or one of the worst of the Rocky movies. And so I don't think from that movie that quote became popular. I think someone like screen grabbed that quote and started sharing it on Facebook and stuff, and it kind of caught fire. That'd be my guess there. The other question I had is, what do you think? Like what's the role of movie quotes in the world of movies? Like, are they important? I mean, what makes something?
Well, if you think about before movies, we had those novels, and now it's like, think about the biggest impact movie or books had on people. The opening line for the book, the first page, that had a huge impact on people, and that's what kind of kept them, in people's eyesight as the next generation came. And I think this is the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you hear these lines, and you're like, "What movie is that from?" And then they get introduced to another movie.
Yeah, and I love the way it
So-
keeps the movie alive too. In that way, like you're not going to go rewatch Casablanca like well, some people will, but for a lot of us, we're not going to watch Casablanca.
Play it again, Sam.
Yeah, 100 times in a row. But when someone says that quote, it makes you think of the movie, and it kind of keeps it fresh in your mind, and also it helps us, I think, kind of navigate the world when we have these movie quotes. That it's like a shared experience. If I say, even you saying, "Yo, Adrian," like that, all of a sudden, like
You mean guns?
Lots of guns. Yeah, I mean,
See, there you go.
like little things like that. You have the ability to hop in with somebody. It's kind of an easy way to try to be funny. Also, just to use movie quotes in your everyday talk. But it kind of brings people together in a way where it's like we have this thing in common. We've both seen this movie. We both remember this line. What's funny to me is what makes a quote there's so many lines in a movie, and sometimes they almost seem like they're just kind of casually muttered, but then they catch on as the one from the movie. I wonder what that magic formula is. And if you were writing a movie
also
like
the screenwriter knows the pivotal moment when Ripley's about to kill the queen and has those lines. I mean, like you have that moment where you're writing, you're like, okay, this is a big moment for this.
I need
this
a
actor or actress or this character. Like, how do we make it work out for people that are like, oh man, that resonates. That's really good. It's really strong. Kind of like imagine Die Hard, where he's sitting there with the lighter. And he's in the snow after all these fights he's been having in Die Hard 2. And then he has the gasoline dripping from the airplane. And like the guy who's writing goes, oh, he's got to say a great line.
I got you now, buddy.
Yeah. Good job. No. And then like, so I think that works. And then especially if you're a good screenwriter, you choose to fit that line, to fit that character so well so they're synonymous together.
Yeah, I wonder what percent of the time they have no idea that line. I wonder because that's got to happen where they have no idea that a certain thing they wrote is going to be.
You can go to television and all this other stuff. They become that line. Like for example, I know Workaholics Tight Butthole was a big deal online, and I was listening to one of the creators,
as it should be.
I was listening to one of the creators. He's like, yeah, my parents didn't really appreciate that because they were young at the time when they were making this. Like we'd be going, having dinner or something, and someone was like, "Tight butthole." My mom's like, why are people telling you tight butthole? And that's just part of.
I'm glad that's not my tagline.
It becomes part of their deal if they have a tagline associated with them. So,
but again, I just wonder, like, if there's ever someone who probably like it's happened before where some screenwriter thought like this is going to be the line, and it totally isn't, and it's some other like random little afterthought that they maybe didn't even think about or put much thought into it all, and it just takes life. It's just funny. Like,
well, I think about Lord of the Rings, that really funny moment, like they're coming to Isengard or whatever. They made like a hip hop song online. Did you ever see that?
No.
Oh, I'll play it for you.
They made a hip hop song?
Yeah, like it was some line.
Not like the movie doesn't.
No, someone took it as like a meme, but it was a line from it. Now it's like I'll look it up. You keep talking.
Okay. Well, anyways, like I'm trying to look at these, and I wonder. I mean, all the ones on this list seems like maybe they were probably intentionally written, especially the Rocky quote. That's like whoever wrote that was like he was writing his acceptance speech for best screenplay or whatever as he was writing that line right there. But I mean, like you're gonna need a bigger boat. Like when they wrote that, did they think that was gonna like E.T. Phone Home? Like what the heck is somehow that is like one of the most memorable lines in the history of movies. And I can't imagine that when they wrote E.T. Phone Home, they thought that like 40 years later, people are still going to be E.T. I mean, you just did Spielberg? He directed? Did he write that too?
Yeah. He probably had some influence, but
I mean, I wonder if he's sitting around the room going like, "Oh, dude, this E.T. Phone Home
taking the hobbits to Isengard."
Okay, let's check it out. Come on.
Let me pull it up for the audience here so they can see it too. Let's see what happens. And then there are so many versions. Even Orlando Bloom got into it. Like it's so silly.
Dude, people on the internet have so much time. The greatest Lord of the Rings one is the master cut of like Sam and Frodo is like gay boys or whatever, And it's just like all the quotes of them
they're frolicking around the bedroom.
And all the quotes of them like looking at each other with like angry or like sad eyes and then smiling and everything. I don't know what you'd even search to find that, but oh, dude, that cracks me.
But yeah, see, people can take these lines and they make funny things. So I think that if you're looking at this generation or the next generations of famous quotes, I think that's what's going to have is the implications of how silly some of the stuff is.
What meme gets made out of it?
What meme potential the quote has.
Yeah, I got to bake up some dank memes or something like that. Yeah. Cool. All right, well, that's what we got. Later on, we're going to talk a little bit more about movie quotes as we do our top 3 of each of our own personal favorite movie quotes or ones that we like the most, ones that meant the most to us. We're going to cut the break real quick. When we come back, we're going to be rewinding the movies that we've seen since we were together last. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What did you see, Dick?
To Catch a Thief.
To Catch a Predator?
To Catch a Thief.
Oh, Thief. Okay, we'll talk about those when we come back on The Ticket Stub.
Did you know there are more than 790 abused and neglected children currently in foster care in Montgomery County? Will you help make a difference? I'm Allie Stevens with Casa Child Advocates of Montgomery County. We train and support volunteers to be the voice of children in the foster care system. Kids are removed from their home because of abuse and neglect, and we need volunteers just like you to advocate for these children. To learn more about becoming an advocate, please visit CasaSpeaksForKids.com That's CostaSpeaksForKids.com.
Hey, Montgomery County and online listeners. Thank you so very much for checking out Jazzy Vibes with Soul. What? You haven't done so yet? Well, you've got to tune in. Hi, I am the host of Jazzy Vibes with Soul, Miss CeCe Holmes, and I invite you to check us out every Friday and Saturday from 7 until 9 p.m., where you will get the best in old school R&B and, of course, a little smooth jazz to make it jazzy. So tune in. That's right, tune in every Friday and Saturday right here on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 FM or worldwide at irlongstar.com.
The Ticket Stub is sponsored by the Grand Theater and Amstar Cinemas.
With 18 locations around the country, the Grand Theater and Amstar Cinemas bring you the latest in state-of-the-art projection and sound,
including Fathom Events and Flashback Cinema.
Did you know your local Grand or Amstar Cinema serves a wide variety of adult beverages?
and some even have a full bar.
And moms, they didn't forget about you. They also have a large selection of wine to help you get through those kids' movies.
Visit your local Grand or Amstar Cinema today.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1 and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
And we're back on the Ticket Stub. If you're listening live and you missed this last segment, we did movie news, talking about Sarah Silverman missing an opportunity to be in a movie because of blackface. Talked about the movie The Hunt, canceled because
Maybe she just wasn't good enough, man.
Hey, that's the part we don't like to talk about. Maybe they just didn't want her.
Yeah.
And then
like Scarlett Johansson, she's not transgender. She's just not good enough.
Sorry,
she wasn't
Scarlett.
willing to do the method acting, which is going under the reconstruction surgery to become a transgender. And then she had to reverse back to a woman.
Yeah. That's
mean,
tough. That's
hey,
tough life, man. Tough life. Snip, 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 snip,
Well,
snip.
See, this is if you had unlimited money. This is what I do. I call up Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, I got this idea for a thing. How dedicated are you to this?
Are you willing to come out of retirement one more time?
Yeah.
The final movie.
How do you feel about becoming a woman?
Daniela Day-Lewis.
Literally.
And then we also talked about some top movie quotes, and we're going to talk a little bit more about movie quotes here in a while. But first, we're going to do the rewinds where we talk about the movies that we've seen in the last week. Are they looking at this picture right now, Dick?
Well, I'm about to put it up for him.
Oh, okay. I just can't tell. How do I know when it's live or not? I don't.
Man, y'all have so many demands.
Okay. Well, I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, as you could tell by the poster. Me and Dick were talking off air about how, he said that he's only going to do 10 movies. It's funny that he's putting the 9th film from Quentin Tarantino on there now. And Dick's point was he takes himself a little too seriously to that. I would agree. He needs to maybe just chill out a little bit. But this is a movie that's in theaters now. It's rated R, 2 hours and 41 minutes. He refuses to, it seems like, to ever have something that's like under the 2 hour mark. He wants to go long on pretty much everything.
He reminds me of a person who has full control of their movie.
Oh, he for sure has full
like
control.
he probably storyboarded it, and he's like, I really don't think we should cut anything.
Yeah.
Let's just film it and see what happens.
I'll say that he probably could have cut a little bit, and that's my feeling.
yeah.
Any movie that's over 2.5 hours, I don't care who the director is, I'm going to probably come away thinking there was at least 15 minutes of that we could have found, on the cutting room floor. But the plot is a faded television actor, which is Leo DiCaprio, and his stunt double strive to achieve fame and success in the film industry during the final years of Hollywood's golden age in 1969 Los Angeles. Now, that is true. That is part of the plot. Now, what it doesn't talk about is several other things that are happening at the same time. I'll mention Leonardo DiCaprio plays a fictional character, Rick Dalton. Brad Pitt plays a fictional character, Cliff Booth. Margot Robbie plays a real-life person named Sharon Tate, who you may recognize from all of the crazy Charles Manson stuff.
And Roman Polanski.
And yeah, she was married to Roman Polanski, which is funny. You mentioned Roman Polanski earlier in the show, and he's featured. I wouldn't say prominently, but he is in the film. They also have
Roman Polanski's in the film.
Well, not Roman, fake Roman,
Oh, wow, okay.
actor Roman. It's got Timothy Olyphant as kind of another actor at the time who I think is really great. And then it's got, it's got a lot of other people who are playing some different roles. It's got Bruce Dern looking real bad at one point, who plays a guy named George Spahn, or Spain, who is a real person also, who owned the ranch that all the Mansonites were hanging out at. And they have kind of a funny lead up to introducing his character, or kind of I don't know if funny is the right word. But there's several things, as any Quentin Tarantino movie would have, there's several things happening here at the same time. You have Leonardo DiCaprio, who is a aging actor who is realizing that his prime is coming to an end, that he's not able to get the roles he once had. You have Brad Pitt, who's his best friend and stunt double, but really is more like his secretary chauffeur because nobody wants to hire him to be a stunt double anymore. There's a lot of rumors circulating around that maybe he killed his wife or something, and that kind of, and people always are making fun of him about that. And so he has trouble getting a job. And then they live in a house that's just down the hill from Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski, which is how they kind of get introduced to the story as well. And so it's a look at this aging actor, what that life is like. It's also, they get tied up into the world of Charles Manson's hippie group, who have some great names in the movie. One of them, let's see, some of them aren't on here right now, but it's like Pussycat. There's Squeaky. That's one of Dakota Fanning plays someone named Squeaky. And it's like Star Child. All of them have these ridiculous Gypsy, Flower Child, Snake, Froggy, anyway, Tadpole, Butterfly, Sundance, Angel. So this movie, Tarantino, I kind of have an up and down relationship with him. I love some of his movies. Some of his movies don't do anything for me. This was good. This was good, not great. That's what I would say. It was funnier than I thought it was going to be. It had funnier moments than I was ready for. It had a little bit different plot than I thought it was going to have. I guess I didn't 100% know going into it. You know, it's funny, you mentioned off the air about how a lot of people don't know that this is not a true story. And I thought that it was truer than it turned out to be. I guess I'll say that. The lead characters are fictional, but it lives in the real world of the 1960s Hollywood. And there are definitely some true life people in there. But the way that the whole thing unfolds is not true to life with some of the things that happened out there in the world. I guess I'll say that. Anyway, so I would give this, definitely go see it. This would be a really good one. You don't have to see this on the big screen if you don't want to. Sorry, Chris, although you definitely can. This would be a good one to like date night.
Yeah, it's in theaters now, right?
In theaters now, so you can definitely check that out. But Dick, for you, this would be one that I think like you and Holly could rent on like a date night at the house or something like that, because you won't lose anything watching it on TV, in my opinion. But the world building, that one of the things I was thinking the whole time is what a good job Tarantino did making this feel making this feel like the 60s with the dress, but also like scenes driving around LA where all the cars are like how does he do that? How do you block off like huge sections of LA and then get so many vintage cars? You know, I mean, I guess that's what they do, but that just seems like a logistical nightmare to me to make all that kind of stuff happen. But it pays off when you watch it because you really feel like you're there. And
well, it'd be pretty stupid for the city of Los Angeles to block people from making movies.
Well, I think they're trying their hardest with taxes and things like that.
So,
every movie's
especially
made
with
like
Quentin Tarantino has a lot of pull.
Yeah, every movie's made in like Quebec now and stuff, or like, you know, Kansas City's probably like a booming movie studio place now. Not really, but they're making them all over the place, movies, because LA's crazy. But some of them you have to, if you have a movie called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Well, LA's so big.
You probably have to make it in Hollywood.
It's only so big. So we were trying to make all these movies. That's why everyone makes them in Canada, because it looks similar somehow to a lot of LA and California stuff.
Well, they make them in Atlanta and Canada and Texas because they'll give them like 40% tax rebates and stuff like that, and as opposed to the other side of charging them out, out the butt. But anyways, this is a good movie. I would say definitely check it out, especially if you're a Tarantino person. You've already seen this, so no need there. But for everybody else, there's some good stuff. And I love Brad Pitt. Still has his fastball. I love Brad Pitt, but he's kind of not been. I don't know. It feels like he hasn't been in as much lately, or he's been doing a lot of more like let me pop in for 5 minutes in a movie type thing. And it's good to see him really shouldering, a heavy role in a movie. Leo is always really good. So I don't think there'll be Academy Awards for this probably, although maybe, but probably not. Anyways, good movie overall.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, you said wait till theaters and all that kind of stuff.
I'd say, yeah. I mean, you can see it in theaters, but you could also wait if you'd like to do that.
Okay. Well, I watched the movie. I believe it's available on Amazon Prime. This movie is an older movie called To Catch a Thief. It's a classic Alfred Hitchcock movie, and it was released in 1955. And it's 1 hour and 46 minutes. It features stars during that time: Cary Grant, Grace Kelly. And
they were probably like the biggest of the big back then.
Yeah, they were like, there was. He was one of the bigger leads, and she was one of the bigger leads too. And Alfred Hitchcock, of course, was a fan favorite, and then became a cult favorite after all he died and all that kind of stuff. It's a retired jewel thief sets out to prove his innocence after being suspected of returning to his former occupation. The whole movie takes place in France. And I enjoyed it. I think I kind of miss the way movies were so slowed down during that time.
The pace is so much different.
It's so much different. I kind of miss that. Especially allows more time to resonate with the dialogue and understanding where the plot's going. Not that many cuts and
yeah, I forget what it is, but like the cuts per minute, it was like 5 times less than it is now.
Yeah, and it was nice because one thing I like about Alfred Hitchcock and I wish someone around today made movies similar to where you really don't know what's going to happen at the end.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy this, especially if it's a well-made movie, because we were talking about, what was that, murder mystery movie with Adam Sandler? Like, they had the whole plot ready to, like, confuse people to get it, like, who really did it. And they didn't have that same thing with this movie, because you really didn't know who did it until the end. I didn't. And I was just like, oh, this is a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. I will say, watching it with Holly, I made fun of the character of Grace Kelly because she was so into a potential thief.
She was,
and it was really
all in on the thief.
Yeah, and like all in, and it was really creepy. And I was like, man, that girl just must be crazy. And outside that, she's
looking for a rich guy in France, man. You gotta do what you gotta do. Beggars can't be choosers.
I mean, there were some things in the movie that I really didn't understand logically, but I wasn't really too worried about it. And like, for example, part of the plot is the police and the insurance claim people are trying to figure out who's stealing all these jewels around this town. And the insurance guy comes to this guy who's the prime suspect. And he's like, hey, we don't, like, it's not me. He's like, well, I'm going to give you a list of everyone who we insured. And you have to make sure no one steals from these people.
Why would he do that? It seems like,
I think it's just to add another dynamic to it. But
yeah.
I mean, like, if he gets caught and he has this list, of course everyone's going to be like, all right, this is even worse than it was before.
Mm-hmm.
And
is the Thomas Crown Affair based on this movie? Like, that sounds,
I don't think so.
That sounds very similar, like the insurance person coming after him and everything like that.
Well, they weren't coming after him. He's helping them. Because he was trying. Yeah, because he's like, Cary Grant's character is like, I did not commit these crimes.
Yeah.
And then,
but he for sure did.
But for sure. Well, that's the thing.
Oh, we don't know.
That's part of the plot. And
okay.
And he goes like, to get help to prove his innocence, the insurance claim guy, he convinces him to give him a list of all the jewels that could be potentially stolen in the city.
Here's the vault code. Here's the vault codes.
Well, no, even my favorite part of the whole plot is they slide in this thing where it seemed like Cary Grant's character before World War II was an expat living in that area, a thief. That's where he got his notoriety of being this big thief. But then he got imprisoned, and then World War II happened, and the Germans bombed the jail. He gets out, he escapes, and then he joins the resistance and becomes a war hero.
Oh.
Right? What I love, though, is the whole town, which he clearly fought for, like, to help France.
Yeah. So they like him.
They don't like him because he's a thief. And I'm like,
even though he's a war hero.
That's what I'm like, the whole town won't be like, oh, he's the thief. Like, no, he literally is a war. Like, he helped you guys in the time of need. And now everyone goes, oh, it's this thief over. He's a thief. Get him out of here. Like, all this kind of bad stuff. And I was like, I just don't believe that. Like, after they just kind of slid that in, oh, he fought the resistance and all this kind of stuff. And
why'd they even put that part in there? Just to make him a little deeper character, I guess?
I think it trying to make him knowing, like, he's able to fight.
Oh, okay.
And he's smart. He's cunning. And
Was he kind of supposed to be like a conflicted, like an anti-hero, like you're rooting for him? even though
No,
he's
because
not...
he was trying to, the whole time, he was trying to prove his innocence. But you didn't really know if he did it or not. And, of course, Grace Kelly gets thrown in there because for whatever reason. But, yeah, I really loved how they threw that in there. And the whole town's against him. And, like, apparently all the Resistance buddies work at the same restaurant, and they're all ex-cons. And this is the only place they could get work or whatever. And it was just kind of like they all hate him because they think the police are all over them because they think it was him and they helped them or something like that.
That's great. All right, cool.
But
so this is one people should check out.
Definitely recommend.
All right, so it holds up. All right, well, cool. Let's move over to talk a little bit about some of our all-time favorite quotes. I've got 3 here, and I've actually got clips for each of mine. Dick, did you put a list together of some quotes?
No, of course not.
Do you have some in your head that you could at least make up and talk about? Tons?
Lots of guns.
That's a great quote. Matrix, obviously. What year did The Matrix come out? Like 2000?
1999.
1999.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll do mine, and you can just throw yours in as you want.
Yeah, I'm pulling yours up.
Yeah, pull my email. Yeah, third, third, then second, then one.
Give me a second.
Okay.
We need to figure out something while I pull stuff up that we can allow me like a minute to do this stuff.
I can just talk about wonderful things while you do that.
Yeah? Like
so normally we do games like this, or we do a top lists like this. At least Chris is here to add some bonus content to the show. Without him, then we're basically... Dick, for some reason, only reads the articles. I don't know why he doesn't scroll down the email to see like what could be... so that's number 1. I don't want to do that one yet. I want to do the other one.
No. Great.
Did you already put it up there?
Great.
Have you already shown the people? Yeah, that one right there. All right, go ahead and play it, and then we'll talk about it for a little bit.
All right, here, give me a second.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so this is...
The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room. Right here. Right now. Salute me, familia.
Do you have chills? Do you have chills yet? Salute me, familia. So this is Dom Toretto from there we go. This is Dom Toretto from the 2011 movie Fast 5. The most important thing in life will always be the people in this room, right here, right now. Salute me, familia.
I'm really excited to see Sean Hobbs or Hobbs and Shaw. See what line they throw in there.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to try to. They can't steal. Like I'm sure Vin Diesel probably has like. He's probably stolen "Mi Familia" or he's like trademarked it as far as a quote go. But the reason why this is such a good quote, number 1, because of my love for the Fast and the Furious movies. But number 2, I feel like Fast 5 is where familia really it was kind of a concept floating up in the sky in the first 4 movies. But Fast 5, familia got like bedrock down to earth. Like there was no going back on familia from that point. And from then on out, like it was a thread through the rest, through every part of the movie. I don't have friends, I've got family, and stuff like that. And so it's a pivotal part in the movie. I put it in there a little bit. It's probably not, I don't know. I just love those movies so much. But anyways, Dick, do you have a quote? You have anything you can throw in there?
No.
No? Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, next up.
Son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I ain't got time to bleed. So this is from the night. Sorry about the offensive language there, by the way. This is from the 1987 movie Predator. That was Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body Ventura, also a WWF wrestler there for a while. He said, "I ain't got time to bleed." I love that line.
There's a lot of great lines in that movie.
Predator has a ton of lines.
Dylan!
Yeah, you pushing papers or
pushing too many pencils these days.
You're pushing too many pencils these days. And they have the great the great clasp or whatever. I love that line, and for some reason that line took like hold in my family. And not that we fought a lot of wars or anything like that, but I ain't got time to bleed is something that as a child I remember we would say like we're in a hurry, I ain't got time to bleed, things like that. Predator's such a good movie. That's such like a manly, like just a ridiculous like guy's guy thing to say. Like if anything's ever happening, it's like, oh, I don't have time to worry about pain because I'm a man. And Jesse Ventura, I think, did a great job with that. All right, and then my number 1, and this is, an obvious pick here, I think. But it's the end of a very inspirational speech. For me, one of the great movies of all time, I'll say, and especially of my childhood and my teenage years. Let's check this one out.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Yeah, the 9 seconds doesn't do it enough justice. I watched the 3-minute version as I was preparing for the show, and I thought maybe we should watch all 3 minutes of it. And then I decided that we probably shouldn't do
Probably would
that.
have helped today because we got like 9 minutes left.
Yeah, well, if you'd have had a couple to add, we could have gone back and forth and talked about them. But I love Braveheart so much. Do you like Braveheart? What do you think? What's your opinion?
I enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't like the greatest movie what people were claiming. To me, it was just way too long where I didn't really care too much about the character. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just wasn't in it.
I don't know. For some reason, even though it's so long, if you can really, Braveheart is not, in my opinion, Braveheart's not the movie that you can sit down and like casually watch. You have to be like in a room where people aren't talking and like totally pour yourself into it for it to mean something. But I think in the same way, like I think what people are realizing with all these TV shows that why TV is becoming so good and so popular is that when you can really develop a character over a long period of time, it makes the emotional impact so much greater than like an hour and a half or a 90-minute or a 2-hour movie could ever do. And I think that's part of, again, why this like prestige TV thing seems to be happening so much right now. And I think it's hard for a movie to hold your attention for that period of time, which is why it's difficult. But this movie, for me at least, especially as a teenager, which is the time when you're the most like ADD and everything like that, I just loved it so much. I think it was almost in like acts. It was almost more like a play where there was like act 1, act 2, act 3. There's the first part where it's kind of him establishing his life and getting married and in love. And then there's kind of the first time where he's fighting everybody, and then they kind of get beaten down. And there's kind of like the second time where they rise up and fight again, and all the political stuff going on with the Scottish, lords or whatever they were, I guess. And anyways, some of the great speeches, William Wallace, the writing there is so so many of those things he'll say back to people and stuff. I don't know. Great movie. That speech, super inspirational. And I love how they tie it again to the end when he's getting his like entrails all brought out or whatever by that like torture guy. And he yells freedom again, which now is famous because of Dave Ramsey. And whenever people get financially free, I don't know if you know that, if you listen to him,
No.
but he plays the clip of freedom whenever people call in with their financial freedom. But anyways, Freedom from Braveheart, 1995, William Wallace, good stuff.
All
right. So for you, just guns, lots of guns.
No, I just remember how silly that line was. I mean, I don't have like a top one. I mean, I always enjoy like Star Wars and stuff like that.
Okay, let's talk because I put that as my not favorite quote, and part of it's because of the
Which one?
Luke, I am your father.
Okay.
And the reason that's not my favorite quote is because that's not even a quote in the movie. He doesn't say Luke, I am your father. He says, no, I am your father.
Yeah.
And I even just rewatched that this morning, and I feel like it would have been, okay, so everyone misquotes. Everyone says, Luke, I am your father,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's one of the most misquoted lines in all of movie history, probably, because it's so famous, so iconic, such a huge franchise, everything like that. But what I decided this morning is, even though the quote is, no, I am your father, it should have been, Luke, I am your father. Like, I think the people are right. And I don't want to, you can't rewrite the Constitution or anything like that. But I think they need to go back and dub that over because it's saying no, I am to put his name in there makes it such a more powerful line. I think to address him personally, to say Luke, and he needs to draw it out. Not that I should probably be giving James Earl Jones like tips on how to do voiceover acting or anything like that. But I feel like I got some good tips for you here, James. Slow it down a little bit, hit the Luke hard, take a breath. And then the I am your father. And that would be better than the whole no, I am your father thing. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, now you just gave inspiration to Disney to remaster
To
the
J.J.
movies. It's like, hey, just remaster, add this line for it.
Yeah, and then re-release it as a whole new DVD Blu-ray set.
Now it finally makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone really wanted that.
But yeah, I mean, Star Wars has a bunch of good ones. It is funny when when things get misquoted, over time, and misremembered. I wonder. I'm gonna see if I can find like the most misquoted movie list or something like that. Can you talk for like 1 second?
Yeah,
I've been, sorry, I'm just saying I'm here is not talking.
Well, I mean, because we were talking about earlier out when we were on our break, talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and there's a big talk about misguiding audience members believing what's true and not. And one of the controversial scenes in the movie is when Brad Pitt's character really beats up and puts down Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was some backlash online, especially from Bruce Lee's daughter, who was 4 years old, by the way, when he passed away, basically saying like it was wrong for you to Quentin Tarantino to represent Bruce Lee in that light. And Quentin Tarantino doesn't really care. He's like, whatever, I do what I want. And there's some, if you want to read it, like what they actually said to one another, it's pretty interesting because for some reason you go on Twitter and stuff to say these to people. But what's interesting to me is, where do you draw the line? Because that movie has that hybrid of real characters and then you have fake characters and what's really true, what's really represented. Because I will say there is some power in movies that are made long after someone died or a story, and it's retelling their story one way from the impact of the audience. So they're like, if you're an 18-year-old and you're just now watching this and you're like, oh man, Bruce Lee seems like a punk.
Yeah, he came across as a jerk in this movie and totally like weak and arrogant and all the other things. And you're right. I mean, even though it's fiction, for a lot of people, that's probably going to be truth as far as how they view Bruce Lee.
Because, I mean, I don't know the true story of Bruce Lee, but everyone kind of holds him in high regard of respect and everything, especially in the film industry. So it's kind of funny when you have those kind of...
Well, he could punch you from 1 inch away and make you fly across the room, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah, wasn't that him?
And everything's snapping every time he hits somebody. But, okay, did you find
All right, I found a couple. Okay, so most of it is like one-word differences or things like that we messed up. But there's a couple. So the number one was obviously, Luke, I am your father. Yeah, Luke, I am your father. Another one that I thought was interesting, Apollo 13, Houston, we have a problem. Not the quote. It's Houston, we've had a problem. And again, it's kind of a minor thing, but like that changes things up a little bit. I mean, it's just
remaster it, put it in the works.
But with that one, like I don't think the people are as right as they are. Although Houston, we have a problem. That might be a better line. I wonder if these get misremembered because they're like a little bit, they're a little bit clunky or something like that in the in the way. Like mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Not the line. Mirror, mirror, magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all? Not as good. The people are better. It's like the wisdom of the crowd.
I mean, I really don't know what to tell you. It doesn't really affect my life that much.
Well, it should, man. This should be all the... If you build it, they will come. The actual quote, if you build it, he will come. It's not they. Even though they end up... all the players end up coming later on.
I always thought it was he would come.
You did?
Yeah, because it's about his dad.
Well, yeah, but I think... I mean, it was about his dad, but I think when people think about the movie, they think about all the baseball players that end up coming, even though, he was really...
Well, I know people... I think they might say that one time in the movie because it was implied that they, meaning the audience, like the people coming to the house to check it out.
Okay, yeah. See, and I think that's how a lot of people remember that quote too. Yeah, if you build it, then like that the crowds will come to watch.
Because he really wanted all those people to come.
Yeah,
because that wife really wanted all those people to come to their house.
Do you think they're going to play a real game at the Field of Dreams, like an MLB game, I think, or something, or like a scrimmage or something like that? Anyways,
I mean, whatever gets more people in the seats,
booties in the seats.
But think about that. Think about what happens if they made Field of Dreams 2, and it's like they got divorced because the wife is just tired of.
They had to cut the field in half and say, "This is your house."
It's like this is just crap, and that's the whole movie's about who gets the field in the divorce.
Just split it down the middle. Toto, we're not in Kansas anymore. Not the quote. Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. So again, I think a lot of it's just maybe we're too stupid to remember like that many words or something like that.
And what I like about that line is it didn't seem like a pivotal moment.
That's what I'm saying. When I was talking about like how did that become the thing that is latched onto? When they wrote that, do you think they thought anything about it, or was it just like a little throwaway?
I don't think they knew exactly what they were writing.
Well, that might be fair too. Some of these screenplays, maybe it turns out to be bigger than they thought it was going to be, or a bigger deal. All right, well, that's all the show.
Think about Fast and the Furious. I don't think they ever imagined.
Oh, that they knew. Yeah, that.
I don't think they ever imagined it being where they are, especially when they made the first one with what's his name, what's the director's name, or who like was not banned but not allowed to work on it anymore. I mean, I don't think that anyone knew.
I think they thought that was a one and done franchise, probably.
Well, it'd be interesting to see the dialogue between the second and the third one when creating the movies, because the third one basically was like, let's reboot this.
Yeah, 100%. It almost died. I mean, it was.
Well, that was a reboot.
When all these movies are gone, they're going to make a documentary about the whole Fast and Furious world, and I'm going to be first in line to buy that. And it's going to be super interesting to see how, like, if you'd given someone like 1,000,000 to 1 odds to bet on this becoming a $1 billion franchise when the first movie came out, or nobody would have put nobody would have put their, would have backed the Fast and Furious franchise. Yeah. And here we are, $1 billion movie after $1 billion movie.
Yeah, I wonder how I'm going to try to see Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, me too.
At one point.
That's on my list.
It's on this weekend.
Yeah, so. I got to hit that sometime too.
Oh, geez.
Oh, baby. All right, we got to go. We'll be back next week. Thanks, everybody. Make sure you tell a friend. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe button on Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is. And, tell a buddy about it. We want to thank the Grand Theater and Amstar Cinemas for the sponsorships that they have with us. Chris, we miss you. We love you. We hope you recover from that skull crush. And for Dick, and for Chris, sorry, buddy. My name's Connor, signing off here on The Ticket Stub.